Hello. I am here, Marietta Paxson with Little Dreamers. I'm so excited to chat with you today. So I'm on Facebook, I'm over on Instagram, and I'm just excited to be here and kind of get to interact somewhat with you guys and help you guys sleep a little bit better. So we have a ton of questions today about 6-month-olds, 3 years old. That's kind of the two sections. There's a couple other ones for newborns and 9-month-old and 2-year-olds. So what I've actually done, I had some extra time today, so I went and I printed off all of my questions and I put them into categories. So I put all the 6 months together and all the 3-year-olds together, and I'm kind of going to go by age range as opposed to when questions were submitted. So hopefully that makes sense. I may not get to all of the questions in our 30 minutes that we have today, but what I will get to is at least one question from each age range, so that hopefully you'll be able to get some information that will be helpful and go from there. So again, if this is your first time tuning in with us, let me know that you're here. I'd love to know who's here so I can kind of, sometimes when I'm reading your question, I can ask you for feedback or different things like that and be able to give you a little bit more help. My software stuff is being difficult. Those of you who watch Tune In Weekly know that I've been having a hard time seeing my comments on Facebook. So I just have to go in and organize, kind of get into a certain screen so I can see them live on Facebook. I use a different system for to record. Anyways, this is not important to you. I just had to switch my screen really quick. Okay, so that's what we're going to do as far as questions. So yeah, if this is your first time tuning in, let me know that you're here. Give me a shout out, a little comment, and then please like or love or whatever you want to do this video so that more people can see it, as that's how Facebook works, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in and get started because oh good, Ashley Thornton is here and I saw your question, Ashley, so we're going to get to that in a little bit. Awesome, you're one of the 3-year-old ones. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to start with a newborn question. Paige Ginther, I think, and just know, you guys, I'm awful at guessing how to pronounce names, sometimes even saying words that I should know how to say. I say them funny. And I think I should never be doing these videos where I do these live videos. I should never do them. But I get a lot of feedback that they're helpful, so I'm going to continue to put myself out there and read them for you. So, Paige is asking about a 1-month-old. And she's trying to understand about scheduling her 1-month-old. So, what she kind of says is that she'll stay up wide awake until midnight, and then she'll go down. She'll sometimes sleep 2 hours. Sometimes it's 5 hours. Sometimes she'll want to sleep till 9 a.m. And she's saying, I know I should be getting her up between 6 to 8 a.m. And the reason she's saying that, it sounds like Paige has tuned in a little bit for me. Paige, you're here. Oh, good. I tend to say wake up times between 6 and 8 are normal, and bedtimes between 6 and 8 are completely normal. Now, Paige, you're in a special situation because you're dealing with a 1-month-old. So nothing is normal for a 1-month-old. Hopefully that helps you feel better and not worse. 9 a.m. is an okay wake time for a 9-month-old. She's still, or 9-month-old, 1-month-old. She's still trying to figure out her night and days. So when she's staying up till midnight, it's pretty normal. What you'll see is that gradually get earlier and earlier and earlier. I wouldn't wake her up between 6 and 8 at this point because the most important thing you can do with a newborn is allow her to sleep at night. So her bedtime will gradually get earlier, and it will look more like that 6 to 6 or 8 to 8 or something like that. Hey, Janae. Okay, I love seeing all of these comments come in telling me who's there. Instagram is always harder for me because I don't see names, and it's literally, I'm so glad you're here. I just don't know your name. Give me a name, guys, on Instagram so I can see who you are. Okay. Anyway, so that's kind of what's happening there with your newborn. So what you're really going to do is focus on awake times. They can be anywhere from 30 minutes up to 60 minutes, and then you're going to get her back to sleep. Now, later on, she tells me that She's taking a long morning nap of about 3 to 4 hours in her rock and play, and then has a hard time with her afternoon nap. So what I do like to do to help babies learn the difference between night and day is break up their daytime sleep when they're sleeping really long like that. So I like to cap naps for, this age. If you want to, Paige, like if you want to start working towards your sleep, right? You don't have to. Newborns are super flexible in how much you do to help them or not help them. But if you want to, I would just start capping naps at around 2 hours. So I would just wake her up at 2 hours and get her up and feed her and play with her and then put her back down anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour later. And hopefully that will help her see, oh, it's daytime right now and at nighttime we sleep, so that she can start moving that her bedtime earlier. Should I be breaking up her naps? Let's see, we talked about that. So she takes more short naps versus 2 or 3 longer naps. If they're 2 hours, that's totally fine. Usually newborns are on a 4 to 5 nap schedule a day. So yes, I would just, at this moment, to get more on a schedule, all I would focus on doing is her awake times with her naps, getting her down after about 30 to 60 minutes, and then breaking up her daytime sleep so it's no longer than 2 hours, okay? Okay, so that was our newborn questions. That's coming from Paige. So we're going to jump into our 6-month-old questions. Oh, good, Mallory. We'll get to the 3-year-olds. There's a lot in that one. Okay, so for my 6-month-olds, I have Cheryl Lee, Emily Dom, Rachel Schultz. I'm sure I'm saying that right? That's it. Those are my 6-month-olds. So if you are here, if I said your name, give me a shout. Let me know that you're here. And just so you guys know, I want to try and answer 2 questions on here, because there's 2 different things going on for these 6-month-olds. But if you are interested, if you are listening to this and you have more questions, maybe you want some more guidance one-on-one, and I'm especially going to talk about this with my 6-month-old, I'm more than happy to talk with you about different plans that I offer, how to work those into your budget, payment plans, just talk to you about my different packages to decide what's a good fit for you. Let me explain some things about 6-month-olds before I go into it. So I'm actually going to look at the time, 7:25. I like to put an outline out, but as you guys know, I don't always, so lots of times I end up going over my video and then I don't get to do it. So hopefully I can do that today. So here's what we need to know about 6-month-olds. They, right around 6 months is when object permanence comes into play. And so even if your child is sleep trained or not sleep trained, we'll talk a little bit more about that. What happens at 6 months, they can go from sleeping great, even get through that 4-month sleep regression, okay, and at 6 months, they actually start to regress really strongly. And I did get your question. Who just commented? Lita, I did get it, and we'll talk about it. I think it made sense. Anyways, so they start to regress because what happens is when they wake up at night now, instead of just saying, oh, no one's here, I'm in the dark, I'll just roll over and go back to sleep. I mean, they don't roll over, but you know what I'm saying. Instead, they wake up completely and they say, hey, where's Mom? I remember her. She was really nice. She held me. She rocked me. It was really nice. I want that. Yeah, I remember about that, even though it's not here right now. And so I'm going to cry and I'm going to do whatever so that I can get what I had earlier. So this is 6 months is really when they start to get the preferences for what they want. And it's not about what they need. It just is a remembrance of this felt good and I think I want some more of it. So you'll see a lot of sleep problems come up around 6 months, and that may be why we have a lot of questions here. So let me start. Emily Dawn, and let me run onto my comments and see if Cheryl or Rachel is here. I'm happy to read questions for people that show up live if I can over someone else's. It's kind of like my reward for tuning in with me here. Okay, so Emily, let's read yours. She says, my 6-month-old is waking about 5 times per night. He wants to eat and needs to be rocked to sleep. And sometimes after all of that, he wakes up the second we lay him down. Okay, so this is a huge thing. And based off of what I just said, object permanence, right? So what's happening is he is using rocking or eating, sucking, I'm assuming, either nursing or bottle feeding, to fall asleep, right? Whether it's the beginning of the night or in the middle of the night. And then when you try to lay him down and remove those things from him, he might wake up right away, or even if he doesn't and he ends up falling asleep and staying asleep in the bed for a little while, eventually he will get to a sleep transition and he'll wake up and he'll remember those things. And he said, where's the rocking? Where's my sucking? Where's my feeding? I want all of that right now. And so he'll wake up and cry until he gets that, right? Okay, so that's what's happening, at least part of it, Emily. He goes to daycare. Daycare's hard. Okay, and I'm told he doesn't sleep much there, maybe 20 to 30 minutes per day. Yeah, he probably, along with remembering what he likes at night, he probably doesn't have very many skills of how to fall asleep on his own. And part of the reason he doesn't is because he hasn't learned how to do it. He hasn't learned how to fall asleep anymore at all. He hasn't learned how to do that on his own. He doesn't know how to fall asleep on his own. So he's not taking great naps. He's waking up at his first sleep transition, which happens about 20 to 30 minutes after. I just want to pause really quick and jump over here and say, Natalie, I see that you are here and you're not seeing any video. I'm assuming other people are seeing it because they're commenting and saying hi. So I would just maybe close your browser, come back in, try something like that, because unless someone else can verify that it's a technical difficulty on my end, I think that people are able to see it right now. Okay, so at home on the weekends, he will take longer naps, 2 naps a day, 1.5 to 2 hours long, but the nights are exactly the same way. Okay, and I'm glad she brought this up, because sometimes if a baby isn't getting enough sleep during the day, it can wreak havoc on sleep at night. So yes, daytime sleep sucks, so the nighttime sleep sucks, yes, but even days where daytime sleep is great, nighttime sleep still sucks. That could be one of two things. One, he just doesn't know how to sleep on his own, so it's always going to suck till we fix that. And two, it could also be a piece of, what was I going to say? Oh, he's just overtired. That even though he took good naps that day, overall, like in that week, he is just tired and not going to sleep well at night. So you might have a combination of both. But again, I won't know really how he sleeps, if he can sleep well, until we get him falling asleep on his own. Okay. Okay, so here we're going to talk about some of the associations that he has that he needs to sleep. So we just transitioned him from the rock and play, which is awesome. So you cut off one, which is the rock and play. We are still swaddling him. Okay, and we already know that he is being rocked and nursed. So he has 3 associations with sleep, and he kind of needs all of those 3 things to sleep well. And if one of those stops at any time, he's going to wake up and say, hey, wait a minute, I remember what's going on. Where's my rocking? Where's my sucking? Where's my whatever? And not sleep well. He usually goes down with a bottle of breast milk mixed with rice cereal and typically falls asleep while eating. So when he gets to his cycle, his sleep transition cycle, that's not right. When he gets through his sleep cycle to transition to the next one, thank you for sticking with me, folks. He's waking up. He needs to suck on something to be able to sleep again. We try to get him down at 8 every night, and he needs to be up about 7 a.m. every day. Okay. So hopefully that helps you see like associations with 6 months old and why they're so important. And so Cheryl Lee, that's the same thing is going on with your little one, okay? Swaddling, sucking, I think are your 2 sleep associations, but same thing is happening, right? Okay, so let's put the sleep associations aside. Let's talk about that schedule for the 6-month-old. So 6 months typically is on a 3-nap schedule, but sometimes you'll see it, you'll see a 6-month-old on a 2-nap schedule. It's kind of like that bell curve, right? And so you'll see some 6-month-olds on a 2-nap schedule, but it's not super common. If I usually suggest sticking to a 3-nap schedule at 6 months. Do you want to know something really funny that I do during these? I write notes of what I'm telling you, which doesn't make any sense because you guys can't see them and I don't need notes, but apparently it helps me keep my thoughts straight. So 3-nap schedule for a 6-month-old. I'm going to give you a sample schedule for a 6-month-old with a 7 a.m. wake up. So they may be waking up at 7 a.m. They may take their first nap anywhere between 8:30 to 9. Yeah, anywhere from 8:30 to 9. And then that second nap gets a little tricky after that because while I do want naps to be by the clock, I also want them to be spaced out far enough, if that makes sense. So we're kind of looking for anywhere from 2 to 2.5 hours of wake time between your sleep periods for a 6-month-old. So say this baby goes down at 8:30 and wakes at 9:30. So I'm looking at that next nap between 11:30 and 12. So you see how that works? I did 2 hours from 9:30 to 11:30, and then I did another 30 minutes. Anywhere from 11:30 to 12, they're going to fall asleep. Now, once I know my baby, I know how long they're sleeping, and I know what their wake period needs to be for them, then I can start doing it by the clock, meaning if they wake 15 minutes early or they sleep 15 minutes longer, I can still put them down at the same time. So then they're going to take that nap, and say they fall asleep at 12 and they wake at 1:30, and then maybe I'll do another cat nap at 4. That third nap is a cat nap, so maybe it's 4 to 4:30, and then 5:30, 6:30, 7. So then bedtime's going to be 7 p.m. So right there, Emily, we see that he is not going to bed early enough every night, especially if his naps suck. If his naps suck and he's taking like 2 20-minute naps, then he can go to bed as early as 5 o'clock, right? So those are a couple things to think about, Emily. Okay, and hopefully, Cheryl, that helps with yours as well. Again, I work with parents all the time. I have 2 really awesome packages to help break those sleep associations that we talked about and get them to fall asleep on their own and then work through those night wake-ups and kind of regulate naps. So there's 2 different packages that I offer right now. One is a sleep training silver package, and then one is a sleep training gold package. So let me kind of just describe those for you really quick, and then we'll move on to our older ages. The sleep training silver package is kind of a do-it-yourself with some help from me. So you're choosing your sleep training method and the age of your child. So 6 months, we're doing pick up, put down. You pick those 2 things, and I kind of help you choose the method that's going to work best for you. And then you get a pre-written sleep plan that you can refer to and gives you everything that you need to know to kind of make this plan happen. But then you also get 4 phone calls from me where you can ask questions, I can give you feedback, you can get the support that you need through those phone calls. My gold plan is a lot more hands-on on my end, so you're getting an hour-long consultation to really talk about everything that's going on, the obstacles that you have that are unique to your situation that pre-written plan might not cover. And then I take that information and write you up a personal sleep plan for your family, written just for you, including your sleep training method, including those obstacles and how to overcome them, and everything that you need specific for your family. And then on top of that, you get 2 weeks of support, unlimited, emails, texts, phone calls, whatever you need to not only be successful, so we're kind of nipping any problems in the bud the second they happen, but 2, giving you the support to be consistent and be able to do it for those 2 weeks. If you're interested in those, you can click on my link in my profile on Instagram or my pin post on Facebook, and there's a link to schedule a free 15-minute call, and we can discuss both of those, any other options that might work for your situation, and kind of get things rolling that way so that we can get everybody sleeping better, because sleep matters. It affects every part of your life. Every single part of your life comes back to sleep. If you're not sleeping, nothing else is going right. Am I right? I am. Okay, so I want to jump down and answer Rachel Scholl's question. She has a baby who is sleep trained. So he's 6 months old. We've done sleep training the last few months. He falls asleep on his own for bedtime and naps. He usually goes to bed between 7 and 8, tends to do better if he's asleep earlier. And part of that is because if he goes to bed overtired, he's going to wake more frequently at night, just like we talked about earlier. Despite sleep training, he still wakes up 1 to 2 times at night, where the only way I've been able to get him to sleep, again, is to feed him. He also only takes 30 to 45-minute naps, 3 during the day, which is okay. I mean, that's not super long, but some kids do take longer to regulate out naps. So those are her 2 questions, about naps and about feeding at night. So let me kind of go over those for your 6-month-old so you can kind of see what it needs to look like. How do I get him to nap longer? His room is dark, the house is quiet, he falls asleep on his own. I get a noise machine if you don't already have one. That can help to bridge the transition between sleep cycles. 45 minutes is an okay nap. Some kids take up to 7 months to kind of lengthen out their naps or be able to sleep longer. But there's a couple things that you could do. Leaving him in his dark room after he wakes up, anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour, to help him maybe fall back asleep, but also just to help his body be in darkness so that it makes more melatonin and he can therefore sleep longer when he takes his next nap or the next day or something like that. So those are good things to get him to nap longer. Again, those first 2 naps, I like to see an hour to an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours depending on how they work out, but I don't want daytime sleep to be over 3.5 hours at this age. Okay, so really quick to the nighttime. He's waking up twice, you say, at night to eat. Now, you always want to talk to your pediatrician and see how long can he go at night without eating, or how many times does he need to eat at night. In my experience, it is okay for a baby at the age of 6 months to have 2 night feedings at night, as far as physically needing it, and then also that it's okay to feed them twice without creating a habit or increasing wake-ups, if that makes sense. So I would check with your pediatrician, but part of me wants to say maybe he just wants to eat 2 times a night. And I don't know when he's waking up. Sometimes that can make a difference on my recommendation there. But 2 times at night is okay for 6 months. Usually they drop down to 1 around 7 or 8 months and then lose that last feeding around 9 months. So, okay, I think that is our 6-month-old. So Cheryl, hopefully you got some help there. Just for time's sake, I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to be able to talk anymore about 6-month-olds. We're going to jump over into our other highly sought after, congested, I don't know what the word is, what am I thinking of? Submitted age was our right around 2. So I have a 19-month-old, 20-month-old, and a 2-year-old that we're going to be talking about really quick. Let me just make sure. Yep. So we're going to start those at 2107. Awesome. Okay. So Lita, I know that you were here, so I'm going to go ahead and read your question for like the 2-year-old age range. Let's see what we can get from there. She says, and then if I have any questions about it, you can help me. So my daughter is 19 months old and is still nursing just a couple times a day. She will often wake up once in the night for a quick cuddle, which I don't really mind. And can I just say that's huge? Like at 19 months, your baby is capable of sleeping through the night. But again, like every sleep change comes down to, well, how is it going for you? Are you comfortable with that? Do you want it to change? Do you not want it to change? So that's always something to think about. Her bedtime is always at 6, which, Lita, can I just like commend you for those early bedtimes, because that's amazing. I love it. You'll see why in a minute. But her bedtime is always at 6, and she's usually sleeping by 6:30, and then she will wake up for the day anywhere between 6 and 6:30, which is good. I mean, that's a good 12 hours at night, and that's kind of what we're going for. This morning she slept until 7. Woohoo! And then she usually naps for no more than 1 hour, usually noon to 1. Today she actually napped for over 1.5 hours. Woohoo! Is it normal for sleep patterns to change for the better like this? Is there such a thing as too much sleep? I mean, technically there's too much sleep as in if you get too much sleep during the day, you might not be able to fall asleep at night, or you might wake at night because you're just not tired enough. But your child isn't going to like sleep too much where it starts to be harmful to their health. Does that make sense? So that's why I'll regulate naps so that we're not disrupting nighttime sleep. A couple of thoughts that I have, Alita, is that she's getting to that, I don't know how long she's been on one nap, but typically it can take some time to lengthen out that one nap. And she may just, it's great. I think it's great. I'm wondering if for whatever reason she slept till 7. She wasn't quite as tired as normal when she woke up. She's very well rested, and so when you put her down for a nap, she's able to sleep longer. Sometimes that happens too. But yeah, it's definitely not something to worry about. I mean, I guess she could be getting sick, because sometimes that happens when kids start to sleep more. But yeah, hopefully it just continues, and hopefully she's not getting sick. Okay, awesome. So Megan Brown, I saw that you're here. So you have a 2-year-old. I'm going to go ahead and read your question for our 2-year-olds, and then we're going to jump on over to our 3-year-olds. Okay, so Megan Brown says, my daughter turns 2 in June. She still wakes up every 2 to 3 hours at night. She slept decently in her crib until she was about 5 months old. But then she started waking up the second I laid her down, so she ended up co-sleeping with us. Okay, I want to stop and talk about this really quick. Oftentimes when we're helping our newborns fall asleep, right? And at some point when we're helping them sleep and then we put them in their crib and they wake up right away, that's often their way of telling us, hey, I'm ready to fall asleep without so much help because I want to sleep the same way that I'm falling asleep all night long, right? So what Megan did here, and this is definitely an option for you, she said, we ended up co-sleeping, right? And a lot of moms end up co-sleeping. And you know what? It's great. And if you like it, it's great. Do it safely and all of that, but if it works for you, great. My heart always goes out to the mom that it's not working for, but she doesn't have any options to get the child out of her bed. She feels stuck and it's not working for them, but she just is trapped. She doesn't know how else to get her child to sleep. So, Megan says, we managed to get her to start out sleeping in her crib again. Awesome. about 4 to 6 months ago, but only by basically attaching her crib to our bed. So during the night, she still ends up sleeping in our bed. The co-sleeping wouldn't bother me so much, except she kicks, hits, yep, all that stuff. That's what I can't sleep with my kids because I can't have people touching me when I sleep. Otherwise, I don't sleep. Her bedtime is 7:30. She first wakes up around 9:30, which is telling me, again, a wake up that early is telling me that she probably isn't getting enough sleep. So we might want to do an early bedtime or see if we can do a longer nap. Okay, so then it's about 2 hours after that. She screams if I try and put her back in bed. Around 5 or 6, she gets really fidgety. That's because she's in her lightest sleep cycle around 5 to 6. And then you say she conks out again from 7 to 8. Again, you go back into like a deeper sleep cycle right before you wake up for the day. So that all makes sense. She's getting really fidgety because she doesn't know how to sleep without touching you. So when she's in a light sleep cycle, she's saying, Mom, help me sleep. Mom, help me sleep. And you're right there so you can help her, right? Okay. She naps in the afternoon sometimes, but only if we're out and about. So she is overtired. She's not getting enough sleep. If she doesn't take a nap, I do at this age at 2. I mean, bedtime is at like 6 o'clock. Okay, so I can move her to her bed and she will sleep for 2 to 3 hours, but then she takes longer to fall asleep at bedtime. For bedtime, she lays down in her bed and falls asleep there, but only if I lay next to her and face her in my bed. If I'm not within like 8 inches of her, she cries. And you'll probably get some more information, Megan, as we talk about co-sleeping. But again, essentially what needs to happen is she has to learn how to fall asleep on her own without you there 100% to sleep in her crib 100% of the time. So you can do that as fast and direct as you want it, or as slow and gentle as you want to do it. I have my favorite sleep training methods on my blog that you're welcome to check out. But here's my big piece that I want to say to you, Megan. It's going to be really hard to get her sleeping better in your room and next to your bed. So what I would actually recommend doing first is moving her crib out of your room in her own room so that she knows you're separate. And yes, it's going to be hard for her, and yes, she may want to sleep in your bed, but toddlers especially thrive on routines and boundaries, and that gives them security and safety. So as you set up boundaries with her, she's going to have, she's going to be able to trust you better and feel more secure with you, and then be able to fall asleep easier on her own. But listen a little bit more to the 3-year-olds when we talk about co-sleeping. We've got to move on because we're running out of time. Okay. Cheryl, I'm jumping on in the middle, so we'll restart when you're done. Thank you. Oh, good. Yes, Cheryl. We just got done talking about 6 months old, so you'll want to go back to that section. Okay, so let's go to the 3-year-old. I have a lot. I have a ton. Chelsea, Andrea, Megan, Ashley, Stacy, Taryn, I think. And then even Jessica is a 4-year-old, and we probably won't get to the 4-year-old. So let's see what we can get to the 3-year-olds, and then I think I may be out of time. I wish I could do this all night, you guys. But seriously, I would love to help all of you sleep better with all of these situations and kind of work with you one-on-one and get you a sleep plan specific to you and your needs and what you're comfortable with as parents, what your child needs, what you need, and kind of working that all together. It's like my favorite thing. I love what I do. Anyway. Okay, so let's jump down. Anybody here that I said your name so I can read your question? I'm going to jump down really quick and see. Jessica Matthews is here. Maybe we'll jump over and read yours, Jessica. Actually, I'm going to stick with the 3-year-old just because we have so many questions on that one. So just a second. Okay, we're just going to go to Megan Gaynor. She says, my 3-year-old won't sleep through the night. We put to bed at 8:30 and he is usually up at midnight and 2 a.m., sometimes more. He's a very light sleeper. We have a sound machine in there, but if my baby wakes up or if we get up for something, that usually wakes him up. Okay, my first suggestion, Megan, again, I don't know when he's waking up and I don't know what his naps look like, but kids tend to wake more frequently at night and easier if they're not getting enough sleep. So again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I like bedtime to be sometime between 6 and 8 p.m. So 8:30 is pretty late in my mind. I don't know what the rest of his day looks like. If he's still napping, it might be appropriate. But that would be my first recommendation. And based off of what I know, that's what I'd suggest. The other thing I'd suggest is a louder noise machine. And then the more independent he is at falling asleep at the beginning of the night, the easier it will be for him to wake up in the middle of the night and fall asleep on his own that way. Okay. Okay. Let's go ahead and go to Andrea. She says, my 3-year-old refuses to sleep in her own bed. She has always needed us to lay next to her to go to sleep. She typically wakes up around 8:30, nap around 2, and then fights bedtime until about 11. Over the years, we have tried to get an earlier bedtime, and in her own bed, but nothing has worked. So is she always going to bed at 11? Or is it just right now? Because if it's just right now, that might be a sign that she's ready to drop her nap or at least shorten it. I don't know how long her nap is, but that's something that I'd look at. My 10-month-old is amazing, but I need some sleep training at 5 months. Major difference, my toddler has to know that we are there and she can touch us when she wakes during the night. Baby hates falling asleep or sleeping in my arms. I have babies like that too. But let's stick with the 3-year-old. So what's happening with the 3-year-old, the reason she has to know that you're there and touch you at the beginning of in the middle of the night is because that's the only way she knows how to fall asleep, at the beginning of the night. So we've trained her essentially to need us. Now, I'm not saying she doesn't prefer you. She absolutely does. But she is old enough to be independent in at least how she falls asleep and transitioning from sleep cycles, right? I don't know if you tell me how often she's waking at night, but so what is, you have to lay by her. Okay, so what I would do is just slowly wean yourself out of the room. So if you're laying on the bed with her right now and she has to touch your hand, I would sit on the edge of the bed and say, okay, I'm just going to sit here, but I'm right here and I'm going to sit here, and then be super consistent with what you say. If you say you're only going to sit there, then you're only going to sit there, and it doesn't matter how long she cries or fights or whines about it. You're still there for her, right? You're not abandoning her, you're not being mean, you're just setting a sleep boundary of, hey, you get to lay down on your bed and I'll hold your hand, but I'm going to sit here instead of lay down. That's what we're going to do from now on, right? So when she gets comfortable with that, maybe the next thing I try weaning away is your hand. So maybe she only holds onto a finger for a few nights, and then it's, okay, well, now you're going to practice holding your own hand. So she's still holding something, right? But it's her own hand instead of your hand. You're still sitting on the bed. You do that for 3 or 4 nights. Then you move off the bed and you sit down on the floor by the bed or in a chair by the bed. Same thing. And so this is a really slow but gradual process to get her out. If you want to do the quick process, you can create, at the age of 3 years old, you can definitely create a reward system for her and a safe environment and say it's time to go to sleep and you get to do it all by yourself and you're such a big girl, and, you know, put her in her room and let her go to sleep on her own after a good bedtime routine, of course. There are lots of different ways to do it. Those are some options, but essentially things aren't going to get better until she can confidently sleep without you. So she has to gain that confidence of, oh, I can fall asleep without mom. She doesn't even know if she can right now, right? So we have to give her the space to struggle and learn to do that. And then once she learns how to do that, give her the space so that she can practice more. And then as she gets confident in that, then she won't need mom and dad like she thinks she needs them right now. Okay. Anyone here that I haven't answered your question to? And I'm so bad at looking at comments. On Instagram because it's harder to see for me. I'm getting a lot of comments on Instagram. I wish I would have known you. Yes, you guys, I can help any age. There's someone asking if I only help with newborns. I don't. I help all the way up to like age 5, sometimes 6. Okay. Jessica. Okay, we're going to finish off with Jessica. She's here. And then I'm going to go. Oh, and Ashley and Nichelle. Good. Nichelle, I think, let me see where I'm at really quick. Nichelle. Okay, yeah, Nichelle, I didn't answer your question because I answered the 19-month-old. So I'm hoping that you pull some information out of that because we're just short on time. I don't have time to answer all of them. And then Ashley. Oh, you got the one that's just super restless throughout the night. So it could be a lot of different things, honestly. And just to give you guys a heads up, she says she's seeing her moving around every hour throughout the night and not necessarily sleeping well. And she's wondering if that's helpful or not, or good for her, or if it's affecting her quality of sleep. There's a ton of things that could be happening there, Ashley, and I just don't have enough information to know for sure. So it could be too much sleep, it could be too little sleep. She could be having a very mild confusional arousal. If you happen to see my Instagram stories yesterday, then you know a little bit about that. she could honestly not even be waking, even though she's moving so much, which I know sounds crazy, but it could be happening. So there's just a lot of things that it could be, and I don't quite have enough information to say for sure what it is. But what I would look at more is her mood. Like, does she seem well rested during the day? And if she does, then I wouldn't necessarily worry about her moving around too much. Okay, Jessica, get yours, and then I'm gonna have to go. So again, you guys, if you are interested in working together and getting your children sleeping better, because let's be honest, it all comes back down to sleep. If you have a crappy night of sleep, and if you have a crappy 2 months of sleep, it starts to affect you physically, mentally, emotionally. There's no way it doesn't affect you as a mom. That's my story. That's why I'm doing this, because at one point with my twins, I was getting 4 hours of staggered sleep at night for like 2 months straight. And the information out there just was not helpful. There wasn't clear sleep information, and so I didn't even know what I was doing. And I stopped and I said, wait a minute, this is not okay. For one, there has to be information out there, right? So one, I have to find that information. And two, I said, I am, at the time, and still am, a marriage and family therapist. And I thought, this is huge. This is affecting my mental health. It's affecting how I'm treating my children as a mother. It's affecting my ability to connect with them during the day. It's just affecting everything. And I thought, this is what I trained for. And so I took the knowledge that I had as a therapist and researched sleep and realized what I was missing and what I need to do to get the sleep. And can I honestly tell you that, days after implementing my first sleep plan with my own children, that it was a 180 for me. I mean, my mood was different. I mentally and physically felt so different and so much better. You could see to my kids too. They were all sleep deprived. They weren't getting the sleep they needed, and they started to change too. Okay, I'm going to get off my soapbox. I am so passionate about sleep and helping moms get that. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. Let's go to Jessica. Okay, Jessica. My 4-year-old has nightmares. He is in our bedroom crying every single night without fail. If it's not a bad dream that wakes him up, it's a scary sound or scary shadow. He is scared of being alone, even though he shares a room with his 2 little brothers. Okay, now we've at least gotten to where he will sleep on our floor, which is good. And sometimes if there's been trauma, I don't know what his history is, but if there's been any trauma or like real things that are causing fear for a child, emotionally, like the best thing you can do is sometimes the floor. So again, that's if you're dealing with something that is happening outside of nighttime behavior stuff. If something is really emotionally traumatic for them, then that floor can be a good option, right? Okay. Okay, I don't know. Sorry. Okay, here we go. It used to be that he would be in our bed every night. So how do we handle the situation? His fears are very real. Okay, he can describe his nightmares in vivid detail. And I guess my question there is like thinking about it, okay, if it's not a behavioral issue, because as a sleep consultant, that's what I tend to deal with is behaviorally what's going on, right? So if it's not a behavioral issue, then we look at, okay, his fears are real. So what's going on? Is it an anxiety issue? Is it what's the word I'm looking for? See, I told you I struggle with words sometimes. So yeah, is it an anxiety issue? Is it that just a fear of something and lack of confidence to overcome that or face that? Those are all, mental and emotional issues, right? That's not behavioral. So a couple questions there. Then we put the kids to bed at 8:30 with a small nightlight in the room. We usually will read a book and say a prayer and leave the room. Okay, so again, 8:30 is a late bedtime for me. And I realize that it may seem funny to say, oh, going to bed at 8:30 is associated with nightmares, but I kid you not, it could be. Going to bed too late can cause a lot of sleep problems, especially in a child, because 15 minutes less of sleep can be a big deal for them. So I would move bedtime earlier as my first intervention. Okay. We'll read a book, say prayer, then leave the room. He's scared to go to sleep on his own, so we usually stay in the kitchen right outside his room until he falls asleep. Again, as you wean him off of you, he may gain the confidence. My other thing, like my therapist brain over here is going off on like, okay, as a parent, how nervous and anxious are you about his nightmares? How protective are you of him? What message are you sending him? Versus, hey buddy, like I'm confident that you can do this, that you can overcome it. I have confidence and I'm not anxious or worried about this. But if you are, I'll support you, as opposed to the parent feeding the child their anxiety over the issue as well. Does that make sense? So kind of like be able to look at that and see, okay, how can I send him the messages that he is capable and he is strong and he is confident and he can overcome this, instead of letting, because I'm guilty of this all the time, like letting my mom anxiety send them a message that I don't think they're capable or I believe they can't do it. Because my mom anxiety does that all the time. We used to have to lay in his bed, so it's a huge victory that you're out of room. So you know how to wean yourself off of, or wean him off of you, right? Even if you're in the kitchen. I just don't want to traumatize him by making him stay in his room where he is terrified. And I don't know that I would do that at night, like if he truly is terrified, unless it's not a nightmare and it's a confusional awakening or a night terror. But guess what? Typically those you can't remember. So if he's waking up and telling you details, then I don't think it's one of those. Okay, the other thing that I would do, so an early bedtime, and then I would do the, you have a noise machine. I don't have a noise machine with the kids in there, but if he's hearing stuff, a noise machine can kind of help that out. And then the third thing that I would do is I really would look at some of those emotional things, right? What's going on? Why is he so scared? Play therapy is awesome. I don't know where you're located, but I have some great contacts here in Utah that do play therapy. And he can play out some of these fears and he can become the hero and overcome them and kind of defeat them in real time playtime, so that at nighttime he's already confident and he can already defeat those. So those are kind of some things that I would look into. You guys, thank you so much. And I'm so sorry that I just can't get to all the questions in my free Q&As. I wish I could do these every day and all night, but it just wouldn't be feasible. So again, I would love to work with any of you one-on-one. If I wasn't able to get to your question, or if I was and you want more information and more feedback, contact me. You can click my link in Instagram and schedule a free 15-minute call, or on my pin post on Facebook, you can schedule a 15-minute call to talk about packages that I offer, what would fit into your budget, when my next opening is, kind of all of those things to see if this will work for you and get you guys sleeping better, make sure that I'm a good fit with you, all of that. So feel free to go schedule that call and we'll all get sleeping better. And again, you're more than welcome to jump on right now and submit a question for next week. Though things do change, so I do suggest waiting a few days, maybe submitting them on like the weekend or something, because they do fill up fast. So thank you so much, you guys. I hope you all have a wonderful night, and I will be here next week, so I hope to see you here too. Thanks, guys.